Hello my friends. I know it's been a long time since I made a video about the sewing machines. This last year a lot of things have happened, and since I made my last video, so I switched my sewing machines. I had the Viking Sapphire 930, which was the one my husband gave me when I graduated with my PhD in chemistry in 2014. He bought that for me, and I love that machine. Part of it is, of course, emotional attachment. You have an emotional attachment. I think you start using something so much that you get used to it. You know, that was for sewing. And I had the Brother PE 770, which I bought on eBay, which I used to learn embroidery. Then I got this machine, the Elna Expressive 860. I bought this from a dealer who was no longer going to sell Elna. They stopped selling Elna, so I got like the most incredible floor model sale on it. Like at that time, these machines, the Expressive 860 or the sister machine, the Janome 990, they were like $5,000 new, $3,500, you know, if you could get it. But because that dealer was going to discontinue selling Elna, I got it for like $1,500. That was in 2017, I think. I'd have to look. So I've had this machine all that time, but I almost always used it only for embroidery. I barely ever used it for sewing because I always had it set up for embroidery, and I always had my Viking set up for actual sewing. And the Viking is a little bit bigger. So this has like an 8.5 inch harp space between the needle and the motor. It's like, I think it's 8.5. Other cool things like that I like about this machine is this kind of cool foot storage it has here for your like A foot, the overlock foot. This is a rolled hem foot, zipper foot, and this is the open stitch, like zigzag decorative stitch foot F. There's also, it came with a lot of feet. And then over the years, I buy more feet, especially on eBay. eBay is my friend. eBay is where I buy most of my embroidery threads. Because over here, you see, I have this Bernina 770 with all my stickers on it. I bought this a few years back when we sold my mom's house. My sister sold my mom's house and she sent me money, and I thought, my goodness, when am I ever gonna have a chunk of change to just buy whatever I want? So I bought this Bernina 770, and this was right at the time when Bernina was coming out with the 770, what is it, the 770 Plus? I forget what it's called now. The new Bernina 770 has a bigger screen. It has a different, more upgraded embroidery module. It has 2 more buttons on the front. But I got this one on a big deal because, of course, Bernina was getting rid of these to bring in space for the new machine, and I got it on a big deal. And I only bought the machine. I bought the embroidery module used. So, you know, you try to save money where you can. If you can buy something that's used or something that's a floor model, provided it's well taken care of, that can be such a good way to make your dollars stretch. Anyway, so I bought that, and as you see, it's set up for embroidery. And lately, this is what I've been making on it. It does really beautiful embroidery, the Bernina does. It is, as my sister would say, it has a little bit of a personality, it has some quirks, but so does every machine. Like, I was talking to my sister who also loves to sew, and she was like, yeah, so these machines, they all have personalities, and that's true. Let me move this camera over. Let me drink. So I have almost not used this at all for just sewing, but I had to switch to it because I got diagnosed like with glaucoma. I'm not very old, so the glaucoma is just a really weird freak thing because it doesn't run in my family, and I'm still pretty young to have an eye condition. And somehow with that, I don't know if it's the drops, I don't know if it's the condition itself, but I did notice some changes in my vision, and it made it difficult to see like things. So I switched out my Viking, and I switched in this machine because I had, again on eBay, bought the optic, they call the optic magnifier, these optic magnifier set, and it helps a lot with up close work for me and a lot of other people. Some people find it very irritating, and I do have headgear as well, but it does help sometimes with the up close work. I'll show you how that attaches. So right now, as you see, I have the machine set up for free motion. I did these blocks. These are embroidery. I did those on the Bernina, and now I'm doing it over here. So with the optic magnifier set, this pulls up. This pulls up. Let's see if I can do it one-handed. Pull this up, and this pops in. Pops in. So this moves to hold it in place. Okay. And now it's all in place. You can sort of see what that does. It's magnifier. And on this machine, there's a place over here where this pops in. Let me see if I can do this. So the optic magnifier, there's this hole back here. This just like pops in. That's it. Just pops in right there. Pops in. And then you have the magnifier around the needle. I'm trying a tripod. As you see, I also have this light here. This was like a $20 sewing machine light. All right. And now you have the optic magnifier, which makes things bigger, and then you can just pop it down, pop it up, move it out of the way. And you see there, I have 3 magnifiers, a 20, 40, and a 60. And so if I'm doing close work and my eyes are very tired, that's when I switch to this machine, because my Viking is old. The Sapphire 930 is really, I love that machine. I know people have bias against Viking, or they think that it's not a very good brand now. That has not been my experience with it. Everybody's experience is different. There's always one person you'll find who has a horrible experience with the Bernina or a horrible experience with the Janome, and any brand out there can make a lemon. I have loved my Viking. My Viking Sapphire 930 that I bought in 2014. I've used it enough that I have replaced the feed teeth once, which is a lot, and it's 10 years old, so I used it quite a lot. But if I can't see or my eyes are tired, that's when I switch to this, because there is not a magnifier available for Viking. So you can see that I'm doing the free motion quilting on this, and it's looking really good. It is a different setup than it was on the Viking, because this does not have hover. It has a knee lift, but it does not have hover. So that is a little different, but you can see that. And then if I switch it over to the back, because I used a gray thread in the back, you can't even see it. There's no eyelashing, no nothing. It's just really good stitches. Now, in order to do that, there are a couple of ways to set up on this machine. First off, you want to use this Supreme slider. Makes free motion quilt really, really much better. I would always say to do free motion with the Supreme slider or similar. I think some of the other machine companies have one out here. Now, it does sort of stick. If this is very clean, this pink is very clean, it will clean very thoroughly. Other things is that you need to use the straight stitch plate. You need to use a straight stitch plate, really. On this machine, on Janome, when it does, when the machine is set up for embroidery, it uses this leftmost needle position. So Janome machines, when they do embroidery, they do this leftmost needle position. So I would strongly advise you, if you're doing embroidery or free motion stitching on a Janome, to put it in the needle position which the manufacturer uses to do embroidery, which in this case is the leftmost. So the straight stitch plate on this machine has 2 holes, one center needle position, one leftmost needle position. And I think Brother, it also does that. Viking and Bernina, they're center needle position machines. So for whatever reason, that is the position that the company recommends to do that. And here you can see, like, what does the optic magnifier do? It magnifies, and how much it is depends on what you put in. Another thing that you want to do is the bobbin case. So I have like a bobbin thread in here, but you can not have to do that. This machine comes with 2 bobbin cases. The red bobbin case for standard work and the yellow bobbin case or high tension bobbin case for embroidery. This is a blue dot, we call blue dot bobbin case. It has a lower tension, bobbin tension, and it is the one you pick for free motion work and also bobbin work. You can see that I need to clean the machine. So I'm cleaning it with this fan brush because it gets in there and gets everything out. Keep your machine clean. I cannot emphasize that enough, especially these horizontal bobbin machines. The vertical bobbin is like this. The Bernina is vertical bobbin. So was the machine I learned on, which was made in 1970. So was my mom's machine, old class 15 vertical bobbin machine. But these machines with the horizontal, rotary, whatever, they have to be kept really clean. They really don't like being dirty. So an old machine, you could really kind of abuse it, but not modern machines. You have to keep them clean and oiled because maybe they're just more precision. So it's like the difference between like a 2000 Chevy Silverado with the 5.3 V8 or a Buick with a 3.8 V6 that will just run forever and ever and ever, and you can abuse the crap out of it, but it can still have problems, but it's more simple. So yes, it's reliable, and you can maybe take some more abuse. These are more along the lines of like a sports car. All modern machines like this, it's more like a sports car. And or you can say it's more like a German car. So you have to do the maintenance exactly on time religiously, or it doesn't work, right? So this is like an Audi or a Mercedes or something in terms of that, compared to your old Chevy Cobalt, which will run badly longer than anything else will run. Will it run well? Maybe not, but it will run badly. Chevy Cavalier, that's what I'm thinking of. Everybody's favorite car that they had that just beat the crap out of, and the check engine light was a feature, you know. That's what the old vertical bobbin machines could do. That's what the old school Berninas could do in my mom's new home and all of that. The old vertical bobbin machines, the bobbin was like this. This machine, the bobbin's like that. So it's a horizontal rotary hook. Have to keep that clean for free motion work. Use the blue bobbin case. This machine, I like that it has a feature where the needle plate pops up and down. You don't need screws, and it recognizes it. So there is what they call the HP foot on the new Janome. It's just like a very narrow foot like you find on an industrial machine, or you find on like the machine that I learned to sew with, my mom's 1970s machine. And it looks like this. This is the HP foot for Janome Elna. And the newer machines like the 6700P, the new Skyline S7, the M7, those machines, they come with now, in addition to the zigzag plate and the straight stitch needle plate that this came with, because this did embroidery, so that's why it has a straight stitch plate. The new ones also come with a HP foot, and the HP foot centers over these feed dogs, this left feed dog here, and uses the leftmost needle position. So that's what the HP foot does. So I thought, you know, since I'm going to use this more for sewing, everybody says, you know, and it does beautiful straight stitch for embroidery and stuff. I was like, why don't I try, I found a HP foot for like $11, not with the needle plate, but just that. Let me see. Get a better magnification. And it works on this machine. You see it centers that. You use the leftmost needle position and it works just fine. Now the difference between this straight stitch plate and the HP plate is that the HP plate only has, again, like 2 needle holes. It just has the left, and it has the center one. You see there's a little hole on the foot. There's 2 holes. There's a center hole, which you guide for fabric. There's another hole right here, which when you start the machine defaults to center needle position. So you have to have that hole there, or the machine will be like very sad and you'll break the needle. But I was pleased to find out, and it only took me $11 to test it, that you can use the HP foot. You can't use the HP plate because obviously the machine will not recognize the HP plate. Sorry for camera work, but if you can see now, there's 2 holes in the needle plate, and it's centered over, you see it's centered over these leftmost feed teeth, and the needle, the foot itself has 2, the center, and then this one is the leftmost, and then a little hole for the center. And I guess the center one, from the center needle position to the edge of the foot, it does an 1/8 of an inch. So this is like a fabric that I was trying out my decorative stitch combinations. Anyway, let me get a piece of fabric here to show you how this looks. Just enough. So right now it's got embroidery thread in it, and I'm stitching through the camera. But it works. So I was very pleased to learn that since this has to be like a sewing machine, if I have Bernina set up for embroidery, I was like, that's really great. I can use the HP foot, and I got it for $11. So that was really cool. Now the straight stitch plate, when you put it on this machine, it's very smart. It's smarter than I am. So it won't let you be stupid. Both this machine and the Bernina, when you set it up for certain things,